Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our third annual Scholar Day at A. This is an exciting day to celebrate the work of our students. You know, this is the third year, by the way, third annual Scholar Day, as I said. And 2 years ago, it was a fairly traditional event. We had it fully in person. Last year, we went the complete opposite way during COVID. So the second annual Scholar Day was completely virtual. And this year, we have some of both. We are also increasing the number of students who are participating. We started with 89 student presenters 2 years ago. Almost matched that last year, despite the fact of COVID, with 81 student presenters. This year, 107. So that is tremendous. And as I said, today's event is going to be fully blended with students and faculty and judges and all attendees being able to attend and do everything both in person and or online. Before I move on to the next part of this event, I want to just say a couple of things to you student presenters. I want you to be proud of what you have accomplished. I am certainly very proud of you, as are all of us here at LSUA. You will probably remember this for the rest of your life. Seriously. So enjoy it. And some of you are nervous enough that you're thinking, I can't possibly enjoy this. I'm a wreck. But trust me, you are the expert on your topic. You know more than your audience. So when you're talking about your poster or when you're speaking in front of the group, you're the teacher. We are learning from you. Enjoy it. And I'm so glad you've taken this step, because student research is so important for many reasons. I mean, it teaches you planning long-term. It teaches you how to deal with adversity, maybe making some mistakes or having some things come up that you didn't anticipate, and then learning from that and learning to pivot and adjust. That's a tremendous skill. And then you finish up with a product that all of us can learn from. And that's what we're here for today. Research at the student level also will benefit you down the road when you graduate. I mean, think about the competition that you will have for a job or maybe for a spot in graduate school. You want to be able to have not just a high GPA, not just good letters of recommendation, because honestly, lots of others will have that too. You want things that will help you stand out. This is one of those kinds of activities. And I'm hoping you will pursue others during your time at LSUA. But student research really will help you stand out. And when you get an interview, think about being able to talk about what you've learned from the research process. That's what employers and certainly graduate school faculty will want to hear. They want to know how your mind works. They want to know whether you are ready to face the rigors of the job or the graduate school curriculum. This is the kind of story you can tell them to help persuade them that you are indeed ready. And one more thing about student research. It really, this sounds a little trite or corny, but it really helps you be the best possible you. I mean, some people, not just students, but professionals at different levels, they go through life and they actually regularly strive just to do the minimum. And a lot of times they don't even realize that. People ask, how much is enough? What do I have to do to get by? And when they get an answer, they say, well, this much is enough. They end up setting a goal that is the very bottom, the very minimum. Think about that. That's not what the most successful people do. The most successful people have this mentality of more than enough. They have instilled in themselves that way of thinking, that I'm going to do more than enough. And you have done that by taking this step today. So I urge you to continue working with that mentality and to continue to participate in these kinds of opportunities, both in the classroom and beyond the classroom. We are, again, very proud of you, and we are so looking forward to learning from you today as you share with us the products of your research and scholarly activities. And now I am delighted to introduce the founder of this event, the incomparable Dr. Sandra Gilliland.
Thank you, Dr. Rowan, and thank you for those joining us online and for the beautiful crowd in front of us. You look fantastic in your purple shirts today. I'm super excited about them, and I'm very excited to be here today. It really is hard to believe that this is year 3. In some ways, it feels like this is the first time we've done this event, that this just began. But in many ways, it feels like Scholar Day has become part of the fabric of LSUA and part of what we do. It is definitely a day to shine. It's a day for us to see the best and the brightest on our campus. Nearly 92% of the students presenting today are juniors or seniors, and that says a lot about you. That means that during a global pandemic, multiple hurricanes that seemed to really like Louisiana this year, and an ice storm just to cap it off. Despite all of these challenges, you're here today. As Dr. Rowan alluded to, you didn't just scrape by. You didn't just do the minimum. You chose to excel, and today we will celebrate your excellence. Of course, an event like today does not happen on its own. We've had a lot of people working together to get this event to the level that we want it to be so that you realize how important you are as a scholar. In particular, today, I do want to give thanks to Michael Waller. He is one of our library staff who's overseen all of the printing of posters. How many of you took advantage of his excellent services? Yeah, I feel like we all need to say thanks because printing 70 posters is not a joke, right? The thing I like about working with Mr. Waller is that he wants to say yes. He wants to find a way to make it work. And sometimes I come up with some pretty crazy ideas. So his willingness to try to find a way to make it work is always incredibly encouraging to my vision, and I appreciate that. I also want to say thanks to Dr. Nathan Sammons. Dr. Sammons was one of the original founders of this event and continues to be my go-to person when I have a different idea, or I'm really stressed out, or I'm not sure what to do. He's the phone call that I make, and I really wouldn't want to do this event without his support. I'm sure many of you have noticed the graphics and images that have been throughout our shirts and our logos and our posters, and maybe even the billboard. Did anyone see the billboard yesterday? I was super excited. It's up on our digital billboards throughout town as another way to draw attention to this event that celebrates your work. And of course, that would not happen without Chase and Liz Johnson. So thank you guys so much on our media team for making that happen for us. I also want to take a minute to thank Ms. Angela White. I know she's not in the ring today, but she may be listening online, and I hope that she knows how much I appreciate her support. When a faculty member in a department takes on a project like this, it unfortunately adds a lot of extra work for the administrative assistant in that department, even if that's not the job they may be signed up for. So she has helped me with booking rooms and keeping me calm and listening to my chant to myself as I walk through that I am competent and I can figure this out. And she just goes, yes, you are. Yes, you are. And she keeps me going. Finally, I want to take a moment, if you'll indulge me, to thank my husband, Jamie. I think he walked in, he may be in the judge's room. He works on campus here as our BCM director, and he has allowed me to take advantage of that spousal connection as he has run all across campus, hanging posters and picking up boxes and hanging up flags and pretty much doing anything else I've asked him to do, and doing it very lovingly, I might add. So thank you, Jamie, for that support. But of course, above all today, we are here to celebrate our students, but we know that our students wouldn't be here without their faculty mentors. And so this year we have 22 faculty mentors who've helped their students get to this point, and we're very excited to celebrate all of them. In the award ceremony today, we'll be calling out those names individually and recognizing those faculty mentors. But today I want to focus on one particular faculty mentor who was our award winner for Outstanding Faculty Mentor last year, and that's Dr. Carol Corbett. If I didn't think she would end our friendship, or at least ban me from her king cake, I would show the video of her receiving the award again. But I won't, because I do like the king cake. Alas, I will tell you just a little bit about her. Dr. Corbett is one of the most hardworking people on this campus. She's also one of the most hardworking people I know. She has spent her career challenging her students to push themselves towards excellence. She has been in numerous leadership roles on this campus. She has challenged her faculty and her colleagues to also strive for excellence. But there is no one she pushes harder than herself. I have often said, and I'll say it again, that Dr. Carol Corbett is the standard bearer. She is a role model to me. She does not just go the extra mile, she goes the whole darn marathon. When she was awarded the Outstanding Faculty Mentor Award in 2020, she told me that of all the awards she has been given, and there have been numerous, that this was the one that meant the most to her because it represented the student work. She has spent her life trying to make her students better so that they can go further and do more. So I think as long as I agree not to show her video, she'll share her thoughts with us this morning. So without further ado, Dr. Carol Corbett. I'm going to do your slides.
Good morning. Thank you for that introduction. You are always giving me more credit than I deserve. I was very proud to get this award last year because it came from my students. And I want to congratulate all of you students who are here today as presenters because you have gone the extra mile to be here, as Dr. Rowan indicated. And what I hope I can or who I hope I can reach this morning is maybe some of your colleagues who aren't participating in undergraduate research or have doubts about whether they should or could participate, because I want to encourage more students to participate in undergraduate research. I think that of all of the things I've done in my teaching career, it is the most important thing that I've done. If I could go back and make my teaching career over and make any job I wanted, my full-time job would be mentoring undergraduate research, because I think that's where I see the most changes in students. So Dr. Gilliland asked me today to, I was expecting I could see my own slides. You're giving my eyes more credit than they're capable of. Dr. Gilliland asked me to talk a little bit about my thoughts on what an undergraduate researcher is and what an undergraduate research mentor should be. So I'll start by just telling you that I have at least a substantial background in this area. I mentored my first undergraduate research student at LSUA in 2001. That was when LSUA was still a two-year school. I had been in administration for a number of years. I didn't really expect to be mentoring students doing research, but this student came to me and I agreed to do it. I didn't do another one until 2006, when it started becoming apparent that we needed someone to mentor undergraduate research in the field. And I am solidly a field biologist, not a bench biologist. I am my research is not in the lab, it's in the woods. So I started taking on field research students. I did a few in the next decade. And then after 2011, I was so booked with undergraduate research students each semester that I was pretty much maxed out. And I have done 30 individual projects, which in biology, we have a course where the student works one-on-one with a professor in their own research. And I have done over 20 either course embedded group research projects or smaller research projects that students were required to do for a class. So after all of that, I've given a lot of thought to what makes my undergraduate researchers successful. And so I want to talk a little bit about what I look for in an undergraduate research student, or what is beneficial for a student to have. And then also what I think I do well as a mentor and what perhaps students should look for in mentors. I do want to preface this by saying that this is my experience, and I, again, am a field researcher. So doing field research is different than perhaps any of the other types of research that are done on campus, because it's very physical. You are out there in the woods, you are having to carry loads, you're having to go through very inhospitable conditions, and usually it takes more than one set of hands. So perhaps my students' experience is not what you would get in all disciplines, but I do think that some of these qualities would benefit students in any discipline who want to go into undergraduate research. So when Dr. Gillen asked me, what would you expect if you were, trying to pick a student researcher? I said curiosity. That was my first choice. You have to want to know things. You have to have that desire to find out how things work. And so that to me is more important than any kind of academic standard, is having that natural curiosity. You have to have a work ethic if you're going to work with me. Field research is hard, and I expect hard work, and I work hard. And so I am looking for students that either have or are willing to develop a strong work ethic. Going along with that is a sense of commitment to your project. You will run into things that you didn't expect, and you will run into sort of psychological walls where you're just tired of doing it. Not everything about research is fun. Some of it is tedious. And that's when that commitment and their self-discipline comes in. So that's very important to me in a researcher. Integrity. That would make or break a student to me. If I had a student who I in any way thought would make up their data or falsify their data, that would be the end of the road with me. So I want a student that has integrity, the ability to think on your feet, critical thinking, logical reasoning, common sense. Lots of things are going to go wrong during your project. Lots of things aren't going to go as expected. Can you reason through that and make a decision that makes sense without biasing your data? So those may be qualities that you have that you don't even realize that you have, or you don't think of as being something that a professor would look for in a research student, but they're very important to me. Working with others is important because most researchers in the sciences have a lab group. And there are several students in a lab that are working on various aspects of a project. And so at times you are going to have to work with other students. And I would expect you to be able to do that as an undergraduate researcher. And finally, just some basic background. I mean, if you're going to do a project in biological sciences, you should have had the intro courses at least. But I don't expect any high-level coursework. What I don't expect is, as I said, any extensive knowledge in the subject. You're going to learn that as you go along as an undergraduate researcher. You're going to become an expert in whatever topic you are researching. The other thing that I don't expect, and some students I think shy away from undergraduate research because they think that professors will expect this, is I don't expect any kind of top-notch academician. I'm not looking for the A students. I'll take any student who can give me the majority of those qualities I just talked about. Most of my undergraduate research students have been B and C students. So don't think that because you're not at the top of your class grade-wise, you can't be an undergraduate researcher. You can. And what you might find is it turns your life around academically. I'm not looking for any previous research experience. I'm not looking for any skill set. If you have that, great, but I'm not expecting you to. And I don't need a student to know exactly what they want to do research-wise. If you do, that's great. I'll be willing to mentor it if I think it's a feasible project. If you don't, I always have 1,000 ideas in my head, 1,000 questions I'm asking. I can throw out, possibilities to students. And I think that you would find that most faculty mentors could do that. So don't shy away from the opportunity to do undergraduate research because you think that you don't know what you want to do or you're not good enough. You are. Any student that can make their way through college can do undergraduate research. This student pictured here was an interesting student I had. He was a pre-med student. I am solidly not in the pre-med type realm of biology. And he came to me and asked me to mentor his project. And I said, why me? And he said, I heard you are a good mentor. And he said, I know what I want to work on. And I said, what? This guy had never been in the woods. He didn't even like the woods. He liked to play video games. He told me possums. I said, possums? I've never worked on possums. I don't know anything about possums. He said, I want to work on possums. We worked on possums. And he did a fine job. And that was a very different aspect of his education here. I also want to talk a little bit about what a good mentor does, because an important part of your undergraduate research experience is going to be picking your mentor if you get a choice. And again, I can only say what has worked for me. Several of my colleagues over the years have said, you have such impressive mentees, they do so well, they go on to get jobs, they present their research very well. What do you do? And I've thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And what it boils down to is I model the behavior I want them to see or them to exhibit. So I am always solving problems, always dedicated to the project, always putting in the time, always showing the work ethic that I want them to emulate. And that for me has meant at times getting up at 2 or 3 a.m. because I had students doing night projects and working until dawn, taking a shower in my lab, and then working an 8-hour day. But the students see that. They see that this is what it takes to do field research. And they step up to the plate. So I think having a mentor that's a role model is something that you should seek. The other thing that I consistently do as a mentor is I set a high bar. Dr. Rowan talked about doing more than the minimum. My bar, my expectations for my researchers is always high. And they know there's 2 things that I think my mentees know with certainty. One is that my bar is high and it's not moving. It's my bar. And they are going to have to step up to it. The other thing they know with certainty is that I'm there. That I will absolutely be there for whatever happens in their project. One of my students said that her experience with doing research with me was that I would let her do any harebrained scheme she could rationalize as far as what she wanted to do in her research. But she always felt like when that scheme failed, I was going to be the safety net that she would have, that I would not let her fail, that I would have a plan B. And I do usually have a plan B. So I think that you want to choose, don't choose a mentor that's not going to challenge you. Choose a mentor that's going to make you stretch yourself. You don't learn anything. You don't get anywhere if you're not challenged. So as you're looking for a mentor, think about who's going to have the time for you, who's going to support you, who's going to be there for you, and who is going to challenge you. Because that is what is going to make you grow as a student, not just doing the same old thing that was easy for you to do. So I'm going to tell you, Dr. Rowan alluded to what are some of the things that undergraduate research can do for you in terms of your resume, your applications to grad school, professional school jobs. I'm going to just briefly tell you about 3 students who I had as undergraduate researchers who changed their lives after undergraduate research. My word for undergraduate research experience is transformative. I have seen more students make bigger changes as a result of undergraduate research experience than anything else that I've done as a teacher. So this first student, the woman on the left, she was an extremely shy student, so shy that nobody in the biology program knew her name or ever had conversations with her. And the biology program is a close-knit group of students. I don't even remember how she got connected with me. I think she just took one of my classes by chance. And she asked me if she could do research with me. She changed so much by the end of that project. She was very confident in the field. She could handle animals. She presented her research in the form of a poster at the Louisiana Academy of Sciences because she was afraid to get up and talk. She was still pretty shy. I didn't even tell her that I marked yes for competition for her poster because I knew she would freak out if she knew. And I figured, what the heck, the judges are going to come talk to her, you know, it's going to be fine. She's not going to win, but it's going to be a good experience. She won Best Undergraduate Poster Award that year. She was amazed, I was amazed, and I'm betting that she will never forget that experience. She was so proud of herself, and she had every right to be. The student on the right, I kicked out of school at one point after he told me he was dropping or failing Gen Chem for the 7th time. I told him to go home and think about what he wanted to do because all he was doing was amassing a transcript that was not reflective of his ability. And so he did, and he failed Gen Chem that semester. But he came back and he did 2 undergraduate research projects with me, turned his academic career around, never made a B, less than a B after that. We had a bit of a time getting him into grad school because his overall GPA was below a 3, but I wrote a really strong letter because he was the single best person in the field I have ever had. And he got into a master's program. He's now just about finished with his PhD field research. He's working on spotted skunks in Texas. He will graduate with a PhD from Texas Tech in about 2 years. So from getting kicked out of school to PhD as a result of his experience. And this student was actually a really good student academically, but she came to me to do research. She wanted to work on flying squirrels, something else I had never worked on. She designed her own project. It was brutal physically. We pretty much had to jog for an hour and a half every morning to check all of her traps before school. But she did an excellent job on her project. She sent her abstract to the American Society of Mammalogists call for papers for their annual meeting. Not only was her paper accepted, she was given the only undergraduate, I can't remember what they called them, but it was an award where it had invited graduate student and undergraduate student speakers and paid their full way to the conference. So it wasn't just a travel award, they were like featured speakers and they had featured events for them. She got to travel from Alexandria to Idaho to give her paper. She had never been outside of Louisiana before she took my class. And she did a superb job at this conference. She got to meet all kinds of scientists. She is now a professional wildlife biologist at Fort Polk, actually. So these are just 3 students who completely gained their self-esteem and sense of what the possibilities were for them via undergraduate research. So please, I would urge all of you to think about undergraduate research if you haven't done it. If you have done it, do more. You learn things doing undergraduate research projects that you will not learn in a formal classroom. And it gives students who don't excel in a formal classroom a chance to excel in a different way. So I hope that all of you will encourage your colleagues to take part in undergraduate research. I hope you have a great time today presenting your own research. And I hope that your research was as transformative for you as it has been for some of my students. As I said, undergraduate research is probably the thing I'm most proud of in my teaching career. If you are a faculty member who hasn't been a mentor yet, I urge you to jump on that bandwagon. It is rewarding in ways you will you can't possibly imagine. And whether I had ever gotten a mentor award or not, I would have still found it rewarding because I see it every day. There is not a day that goes by that one of these 50 people that I mentored doesn't text me or call me or give me a message on Instagram saying, look what I saw in the field, Dr. C, or what do you think this is? I don't know what happened here. So that excitement of discovery is still with them. And that is really the reward for me, I think. So thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Corbett. As always, challenging me to raise the bar again. However, if you ask me to help you catch a possum, I will say no. I just want there to be a clear boundary there. But apparently Dr. Corbett will say yes, so that's it. That word transformative, right? That's really what we're about. And so for all of the students today who decided to go that extra mile and to do a little more and to do your very best, we're just so proud of you today. We're so excited.